Ladies and gentlemen, talk to me, baby. Man, welcome back to episode 2 of the Nick Swisher Show. And first of all, man, I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart, from my family to my friends, to people I know, to people I don't know, to some of my old teammates, man. Like, I can't thank everybody enough for all the love that has come in from the first episode of the Nick Swisher Show, man. It has absolutely blown my mind. And as my daughter would say, Dad, it looks like your bucket is really full. I mean, almost to the point where it's overflowing. It has just been one of those things where I was so nervous to jump into this podcast world. But the love that has come back from our very first episode, it's the juice to keep me going, man. I can't wait to keep this thing going. You guys have been absolutely amazing. I can't thank y'all enough from the bottom of my heart. Keep sending that love, and I'll keep coming up with great episodes and some education for everybody. Woo! Well, now that that's done, man, I've got to tell you guys what happened to me this past weekend. One of the most amazing and proud moments that I have ever had as a son. I was able to go back to Athens, Ohio, to where my father graduated college from Ohio University. And what were we there for? My father got his jersey retired and put on the left field wall at his alma mater, the Ohio University Bobcats. Now, listen, if you guys look up to your father like I do, he's been a hero of mine. He's been my idol. He's been my everything from Jump Street. I would be nothing if it wasn't for that man and the things that he's taught me along the way. But I'll never forget when I was sitting there, listening to him give his speech in front of hundreds of people. I just remember sitting there looking at my brother. I have my daughters with me. And I just remember looking up there and being like, you know what, man, I'm so fucking proud of this guy for everything that he stood for. Dad, this has been a long time coming, man, and you deserve all this love that is coming your way. I know you're not very good at accepting the love, but I'm hoping after this weekend, man, you know how many people love you in your life, man. Listen, I had the opportunity to interview him yesterday. This was right after all the festivities were done. You know what, man? I don't even want to tell you about that interview, man. You know what I mean? Brett, hey, roll that interview for me real quick.
Dad, hey, I was able to be with you this weekend at OU for your jersey retirement ceremony. It was absolutely amazing. For everybody listening out there right now, just kind of tell us what that day was like and how much that meant to you.
I've tried so many times to find the right words, but it's an emotion that you have to experience yourself, but you can share with others because it's such a happy time. It's such a proud time. And then for me, talking about accomplishments, I know what I've done, but to hear other people talk about it, wow, it's just, and to see the people who showed up for that day. But the greatest thing was having my family there. And it was just everything you would think it would be and maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, it's definitely been a long time coming. Listen, not that you're old by any stretch, 71 years young, but to finally get that number put up on the outfield wall at Bob Wren Stadium. Yeah. Just give us what that means to you. I know what Ohio University meant to you. Mm-hmm. I know what it means to you. I also know what Coach Wren meant to you as well. So to not only have accomplished the things that you were able to accomplish at Ohio University, but to also finally get your name put up there with a huge mentor in your life, Bob Wren. Just expand on that a little bit.
Well, mine was the second wall. And the first one was the guy who was the greatest baseball player to come through there, and Mike Schmidt. He's in the Hall of Fame. I'll be the first one to give him credit, man. What an athlete. Well, the second guy is me. And mine is all about dreams and goals. Because where I came from, how I grew up and stuff, if you want something, you got to go get it. And so when I got to Ohio University, it was a whole different mental and physical approach to what I was doing and what I needed to do to be successful, because he wanted me to change positions, and I thought he was trying to get rid of me. And me, being a Swisher and being hard-headed.
I know nothing about that.
It was like, I'm going to accept the challenge. But constantly, I think that we're proving ourselves, but from a positive standpoint. And then Bob Wren sort of just turned my whole life around, because, when you come out of high school, you think you're a pretty good athlete. Well, everybody's a good athlete. And then you go to the college level, and on that team in 1970, that was the greatest team in Ohio University history, and went to the College World Series. just talented guys. Had so many athletes drafted off of that club, and it's like, whoa, these guys have their standards in the right places. So I had to adapt and adjust. But Bob Wren always told me, when you want something, you got to go get it. We'll do anything and everything we can to help you. But it was a thing that you got to believe.
Yeah.
And the attitude on that team was tremendous, but the attitude for each other, and it's a big difference today.
Yeah.
But when you feel that feeling of a team, and it is a team game, but it's played by a group of individuals. I totally understand that. But they say, well, what's fun? Winning is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so Bob Wren taught me a lot about that. And I think the three main things that I've sort of kept in my mind over the years and tried to use possibly I could was that first was you got to be a communicator. And the second, you have to be an educator. And even more so today, you got to be a motivator.
No doubt.
But where there's a will, there's a way.
Yep.
So, you accept a challenge as an individual or as a coach or whatever. But I was blessed because it just sort of seemed like I was thrown into a challenge. And, okay, big boy, what are you going to do now? And so I accepted, had a lot of help from people on the way. But you're going to have to understand that on the way, you've got to do whatever you have to do to find out what your niche in sports is, what kind of player you are, how you can contribute, and that's the great part of being a coach. But I was blessed having Bob Wren, who I think has never gotten the credit he deserved as a college coach, one of the greatest fundamentalists. But I told him over the years, after I graduated, I said, Coach, I know you're a great coach, but you're a much better psychologist.
Which we all need somebody to talk to, right? Which is, half of what this podcast is really about, going out there and finding the help that you need,
yeah.
and not making any excuses, and somehow finding a way to get the job done. Yeah. And so I think for myself as well as, my brother, obviously your son, Mark, for us to be up there and to listen to you give your speech, I think one of the coolest things that you were talking about was, and we were actually talking to Julie, the athletic director at Ohio University, and we were saying that, more than just having your name up there, hopefully, these kids will look up there on that left field line next to, Schmitty and yourself and be like, you know what? Yeah. Hot damn it. If those guys did it, you know what I mean? That I can do it too, right? Give these kids, a runway, or give them somebody they can look up to. Mm-hmm. And even when you spoke to the team prior to your big speech on the field, we were kind of talking about those things. But, how much does that mean is, to you, just being up on that wall and, giving kids a vision of what they're hopefully they'd be able to accomplish in their lives.
Yeah. It's the thing, I use the phrase a lot, but that's what you're supposed to do. And I think from the time that you're younger, you have dreams and goals about what you want to do, but learn to deal with adversity. And it's just like you said, there are people out there who want to help. The thing is, too many times we don't want to ask because it makes us look like there's a weakness or we can't get it. Don't worry about that. We're worried about getting to the top of the mountain. And there's going to be little bumps along it, but too many people are throwing away such good talent. And I'm not even talking about sports sometimes. I'm just talking about how people can contribute to each other or for each other in positive ways. Because where we're at right now, there's a lot of people looking around going, where's my kind of people? You can't find them, whatever. Well, be you. Do what's right, work to find out who you are, and keep going for the top of the mountain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was such an amazing thing. I guess I got to take you to the field, right? OU is playing Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
Right? Huge crowd on hand Saturday. It was amazing, for yourself. We had everybody there. Your whole family was there. All your buddies showed up from all over the country, which probably meant the world to you.
That was great.
And they take you out on the field.
Yeah.
They give you your jersey.
Yeah.
And they say, welcome home.
Yeah.
Steve, Swisher.
Yeah.
I mean, I got goosebumps thinking about it now. I know you did. Tell us how good that felt, man, for you being able to hold that jersey up over your head.
Oh, I mean, unbelievable. Number one, you're always, and we've always been, even as a family, we've always been goal-oriented, and, but that feeling at 71 years old, when I was a kid at 71, that's a pretty old-timer. And then all of a sudden you're there, and it's like, oh, wait a second. Maybe I do have more stuff to offer to other people. And through that, and being able to share my story, hopefully jump-starting someone who's just questioning themselves. Well, I don't know whether yeah, you can do that. So just get after it and do what you need to do. But to walk out in front of a crowd like that, the greatest part was my family was with me. Mm-hmm. And that means so much in the long run because that's your social group.
Yeah, what's your legacy?
Yeah, it's your legacy, man. And so to have that, when you're younger, you're thinking, oh, grandchildren? Oh, my two favorite girls, my two sons, my two daughter-in-laws, and, the only one is Chris, and she's the leader of the laundromat. Mm-hmm. But you know what? There's so many things that we talk about, how this, how that. But, I think once people learn to control the emotion, I say even in athletics, they're always talking about aggressiveness. Well, that's true. But as coaches and people who appreciate sports, they want a controlled aggression. Mm-hmm. All right, you want to be aggressive? Go ahead. Keep it under control. And I think that's the thing because as well as I do, those couple of days at OU, my emotions got away from me a little bit. Mm-hmm. But what a great feeling.
Yeah.
And, you think about it, and then all of a sudden you feel it. And it's like, wow, I know how blessed I am, how fortunate in so many ways and so lucky. And then you look out, and then you see your family, and you just keep on talking.
Yeah. And we got time for one more question, and I think it's really going to kind of bring this whole interview full circle. At 71 years old, you said a second ago, right? Maybe I still feel like I have a lot to give back. Mm-hmm. And I truly believe that. I mean, listen, I may be a little younger in my life, but I'm in that same phase. I mean, we're both retired athletes. Mm-hmm. And we felt like we could put a positive smile on people's face by every time we took the field. Yeah. But now we don't have that opportunity. We don't have that ability to walk out in front of 60,000 people and bring them to their feet. So just for what you're doing now and everything you're doing in your life, and I think you're learning a whole lot about yourself, even now at 71.
Exactly.
But being able to have this opportunity and being able to give back to a university that, from what you said earlier in the interview, really made you who you were, to, turned you into the man. I mean, from the stories that, you've been telling Mark and I for a long time, you almost went to the military after during your freshman year, but you stayed. Yeah. Grandma and Papa about to kick your ass and then said, if you do,
almost.
Almost. But I think just going through all of that, and getting to the point where you are in your life, having that understanding that life is all about giving back. Yeah. And listen, 71 years worth of experiences that you've had. Not a whole lot of people have that. I guess just kind of elaborate a little bit on how much it means to give back and how much we should all kind of look inside to ourselves and have an understanding that life is not, life is not for us, but, it's for the experiences and being able to give back.
Yeah, I think, there's a couple of things, in everybody's life that they go along, especially from younger to older. I think, number one, everybody sort of gets these stereotype opinions of people without ever knowing them before. And the thing about it is these people could have been our best friends if we just gave them a chance. So one of the toughest things for me, and it wasn't really tough, but after a while was, if you want to make friends, you got to be a friend first. So the thing is, you give it an opportunity, you give it a chance. If it doesn't work out, good luck, God bless, and then you move on. But you have tried your thing. And I know for me, for a while, it's like, not doing much. I must have to get myself busy. But that's where it goes back to that same thing. Everybody's somebody special. All right, so you and I go through one career. Okay, so, hey, nice job.
Good work.
Yeah, you got it. But the second thing is, what's now? And then I know I forgot And it's one of those things you can't put a price tag on, saying, hey, especially the young kids, you know you're somebody special. What? Me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not everybody believes that.
No, nor do we hear it a lot. And so the thing about it is when you're young and you're growing up and whatever you're doing, I don't care whether it's music, sports, or whatever, I think the big thing is we may not be the best in what we're doing. It's okay. I was one of those late bloomers, and, you just keep striving, and you keep your moral obligations to you, your family, and the people who really care for you to set the standards. Because for me, and the last thing at all was, America is the greatest country in the world. And it's all those little things. I think we're pushing the little things aside because all we talk about is the big things, the big, great things. But sometimes you got to crawl before you walk. And people that are willing to do that and take those steps have great chances of being successful. I've been one of them. I'm living proof of it. But I've also had a lot of people that have helped me on the way.
Well, I mean, listen, the Swisher family could not be more proud of everything you've accomplished. This past weekend was magical. I mean, it was emotional.
Yeah.
It was, we were laughing, we were crying.
Yeah.
We were high-fiving people all over the place, taking pictures with mascots. And just to be able to be there for you at that moment and to see the joy that came through your face.
It was great.
Could not have been more proud of you, Dad. You're the man. You're going to help so many people moving forward. I hope that you understand that. Continue to keep being you, man. Love you to death, Dad.
I love you guys too, man, and you're exactly right. I will be on that trail and trying to help other people.
Hey, everybody, man, that was my first time I was ever able to interview my father, and I could not be more proud of that. Dad, I'm so proud of everything that you're doing, man. We're definitely going to have you back on this show. Just the way you look at things, man, in such a simple way. You really bring that positive and that powerfulness to something as simple as just living your life, man. I'm telling you what, Dad, I love you to death, man. It's a long time coming for you to get your name on that left field wall at Ohio University. And I can promise you, each and every one of those kids that goes through the Bobcats, right, that plays over there at Bob Wren Stadium, hopefully they see your number up there and they realize what dreams and goals are made of, baby, because that's what you stand for, and you taught me all that. I would be nothing if it weren't for you, my man, and thank you so much for everything that you have put into my life. You know what, baby? Now that that's done, giving some love to my father, man, let's roll into episode 2 of the Nick Swisher Show. Ladies and gentlemen, man, we've got an unbelievable episode for you guys, so let's fire this thing off with the Swishermation. The quote for today is, a good intention requires the support of a good action in order to translate into a positive outcome. Trishna Damodar. Now, let me tell you exactly what that means to me. That means that living your life with intention is only the start. That's just the start up in your brain. What you need to do is you need to put that intention in action, because if you don't put it in action, what are we doing? We're just leaving it on the shelf. That's not going to make anything happen. If you have an intention, put that into a positive and translate it into a positive outcome. Start off with your intention, put it into an action, and come out with a positive outcome. And I'm telling you what, man, this is exactly what this episode is about today. We are blessed and honored to have our guy, a friend of the show, Dr. Corey Yeager, psychologist with the Detroit Pistons. Ladies and gentlemen, this dude is absolutely going to blow your mind. This guy is all about living with an intention, staying in the moment, and having an understanding for all of us in what we can do in as little time as 23 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back and relax and about ready to get your mind blown, because Dr. Yeager is about to do that. Brett, roll that interview for us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nick Swisher Show. We finally got him here. I could not be more blessed to have my guy, Dr. Corey Yeager. Listen, my guy Doc is best known for his appearance on Prince Harry and Oprah's The Me You Can't See on Apple TV Plus, man. Go check that out, y'all. I need to ask you about Oprah. She's one of my favorites, no doubt. Also, yeah. Doc is a licensed marriage and family therapist focusing on primarily serving the African-American community. Doc, that is absolutely amazing. In his current role as a psychotherapist for the Detroit Pistons, Dr. Yeager is merging his two passions, athletics and therapy. Man, we're going to dig into that as well. Doc currently resides in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Shout out to all the Twins fans out there, the Minnesota Gophers, right? With his current wife and 4 sons. Doc, welcome to the show, my man. How you doing today?
Swisher, sweet. How you living, baby? It is absolutely a pleasure. It is absolutely a pleasure to hang with you, man, and get to talk about things that are interesting to all of us, man. So thank you for having me.
Oh, my God. It's an honor to have you here. Listen, Doc, I mean, when we first started this podcast, I guess the one thing I wanted to do is to help and to give back and to give people some advice that they may not know about. You know, I was able to interview my therapist that I used during my baseball career on our last episode, which was absolutely fire. So to be able to bring in another therapist like yourself who has done so much, not only just for the athletics, but for also kids. Listen, and I got to dig into this. 4 years ago, you're a therapist in Minnesota public school systems. And now you provide sports-based therapy for professional athletes. Listen, how did you get your start, right? And how did you end up landing with the Detroit Pistons?
You know, it has been a circuitous route. So I was a former college athlete, played Division I football at Long Beach State many years ago, but didn't really have anyone in my corner saying, hey, you got to have a second plan B, man, in case that the millions don't come from being an offensive lineman in the NFL. You should get that education, but I wasn't hearing that. So I went on to have some workouts with like the Cowboys and the Rams, but it never set. So I didn't make those millions, I thought, and then didn't have a degree. Moved to Minneapolis, met my wife. She kept pushing me to go back to school. Was working at Ford Motor Company, but ended up listening to my wife, going back to school, falling in love with the psychological realm and the academic stuff. So went and got my master's in psychotherapy, and then ultimately got a PhD at the University of Minnesota. But as a former athlete, all along I kept thinking, how can I merge these two worlds? I absolutely love all aspects of sport, but then I was falling more deeply in love with the psychological side. So I just kept pushing the agenda of saying, how can I merge these worlds? And finally got an opportunity with the Pistons. Coach Dwayne Casey is the head coach. Coach Casey has kind of handed me the reins and said, hey, support our guys in a way that you as a former athlete would have wanted and needed. So the best description I can give you, Nick, of my work is I become an uncle to our players, but an uncle who happens to have some really solid psychological chops.
Some great information to give these kids.
Yes, and to be able to spit to them in the language and the way that they're used to. So I bring that former athletic realm into and mix it in a recipe with my psychological support, and then speak in plain language with our guys. I talk to them like I'm talking to you, but I'm giving them psychological support, but it sounds like talking to your boy. And I think that's the best way, one of the best ways or versions to support athletes. So that's kind of been a circuitous route, man, but I absolutely love every day. I never feel like I go to work. Never feels like work.
Well, this is my first time getting the chance to hang with you, bro. I am picking up on your juice. I feel like you got juice just like me. And you are the type of individual that I myself would vibe out with, that would really appreciate, because not only are you going to be 100% honest with me, but like you said, you're going to talk the talk. You've been there before. You understand how it is. And I think that's a huge thing for athletes, because the trust factor is hard. Sometimes you get guys with their gloves up right out of the way. You got to get
rightfully
to that point where they can drop.
Hey, but Nick, rightfully so, though. But these athletes, they, as you know, everybody that approaches them wants something. I want something from you. So my agenda may be hidden early on, but I ultimately want something. So one of the descriptions, Cade Cunningham, was our first pick last year.
Yes, sir. He's a baller. He can play.
He's a baller. Yeah, he's growing up in front of my eyes. So he wrote the forward to the book. And one of the things that he said is, Doc comes at us, but doesn't want anything from us, but everything for us. So that's really the spin that I have, that I can bring that energy and support mechanism to the players in a way that helps them not just on the floor, but off the floor in life. Because these guys are living lives just like the rest of us. You know, Nick, you're living a life, right? You have grief and loss and all kinds of interest and struggles, but you got to get on the field and perform. And when you're striking out and not hitting well, there's things that could be blocking that off the field that you can work, that I hope to be supportive of and work with, that helps them on the field and on the court.
I think sometimes people forget that athletes are human beings as well. They're not machines. They're not superheroes. And you can tell us firsthand.
And Blake Griffin said something that I absolutely love. I worked with Blake when I first got to Detroit. And he said, Doc, so many people come at us in social media and say so many negative things. But one thing I wish people would know and listen to, that you type these negative things into social media and you'll never meet us. But if you were going to, would you say those things if you were with me on an elevator? If you were on an elevator with me, would you say that? Right? That's a cool way to really conceptualize. Should I be saying and doing this? I wouldn't say it if that dude was right beside me.
No doubt.
Right?
Big time. Hey,
so,
got the Twitter fingers, right? You know what I mean?
Yes. So finding ways in which to support these guys and let them help them work through some of those chaotic spaces and things that they're struggling with is my passion. I love it, dude. I absolutely love it.
But, hey, man, you are absolutely killing it, man. I mean, listen, so from school to sports, right? Outside the obvious difference of age and the whole nine, what's the biggest thing that you've noticed in your approach with working with kids in the school system and now professional athletes? What's that biggest difference?
I think you said the word that is most critical for athletes, and I think for all aspects, is trust. They cannot trust that you are really in my corner and want something that's really good for me. And that's hard to do, especially as an athlete. But kids that I worked with in the school system, they didn't believe that people in that school system really were wanting the best for them or really going to show up and be supportive of them. So that trust, that aspect of trust is something that you have to build over time. And trust is something that may take a long time to build, but takes only a second to break.
Yes.
Right? In just a moment. So I am cognizant of the fact that I'm building trust while I'm supporting whoever it is, athletes or young men or women that are in the academic arena and K through 12, all of those people, we all need some type of help and support. None of us got where we are. Nick, you didn't get to sit behind that mic and do what you do on your own. Your grandparents played a critical role, and all kinds of people play critical roles that most people don't know about or won't see. They only see Nick and think that Nick just showed up and was, no, man, Nick is a stud, but Nick had a lot of help and support though.
Takes a village.
It takes a village, man. So I hope to be an aspect of the village that supports players.
Right. So when we're talking about building that trust, right, and you say it takes a long time to do that. For myself as a special advisor with the New York Yankees, that's what I try and do. I almost call myself almost like a Ted Lasso sort of coach, right? I love on these kids because I felt like if I was an athlete, that's what I would want. I would pay attention to the things that make these kids tick, right? Like for myself, I would want you to be like, yo, Swish, man, your hair looks amazing. Your kicks look good. Like that stuff might mean something to me. So how do you build that trust? Not only with the students that you've worked with in the past, because they don't know as much as professional athletes, and maybe their guards aren't up as much compared to those professional athletes. How do you build that trust?
I think trust is something that I have to keep showing up. I have to be present. I think we underestimate the importance of our presence. That if I show up with a genuine presence, and people can read it, the kids that I worked with in the school system could read it very quickly if you meant it. Or if you was just selling wolf tickets, like, hey man, he be selling them wolf tickets, but when the rubber meets the road, where's he at? So showing up in that genuine way that people can read and really kind of tap into and tune into, I think is really that most important kind of cornerstone of building trust day in and day out. And you don't just do it one day, you don't just do it 2 days, you do it consistently. So I think the word that stands out when we talk about building trust is consistency. Consistently being there, right?
That is a huge word. It's so big, but also too, I even think that's something I've heard from my wife a few times, and maybe sometimes where I was spaced out, maybe early in my career, when I first had my little baby girl, Emmy, when I first had her, maybe my mind would be somewhere else, but I always remember her being like, Nick, nothing bad will happen when you show the fuck up. When you show up and you are present and you are there. So when I'm talking about all this stuff, it's like we're gonna jam into your book here in a second because it's absolutely amazing. But being consistent, it's day in and day out. Talk to me about the importance of that consistency because, like you said, on the professional side, on the athletes, I was that guy too. If you did me great, that was amazing. But the moment that you screwed me, the moment you turn your back on me, I would shut you down. So when you're
Yes.
talking about that, how precious are those relationships that you have with your players?
Yeah, they are extremely precious. And another word that comes to mind when we talk about consistency and trust is the giving and receiving of grace. If I'm consistent with you, if I build with you, if you see me consistently and you know that I'm in your corner, you know I'm genuine. When I screw up, because ultimately we all will, you'll give me grace. You say, it's all right, Doc, don't worry about it. Why? Because you've seen me building that trust. I'm showing up consistently. And when I do screw up, you say, hey, don't worry about it, Doc. I feel you. I know you got me. I know you in my corner. I'll give you grace. One thing I would say, I talk about this in the book a bit, is that we're pretty good as human beings of giving grace to others, but we're not good at giving grace to ourselves.
Horrible.
Right?
The worst,
Horrible.
right? We're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah, so it taps into this concept of self-talk. We talk to ourselves all the time. As I'm talking, Nick, you're talking to yourself right now. I don't have to guess. I know it. It's always happening. So if we tap into that self-talk and start to better understand how those conversations are occurring in our heads, then we can start to say, hey, I got a lot of negative stuff I say to myself. We can replace some of that negativity with positivity. And the more positive we can be with ourselves, the better the outcome. If you're more positive, if you go 0 for 4, but tell yourself, it's all right, I'm built for this, baby. I went 0 for 4, but the next time up, I got this. That positivity will help positive outcomes occur. So how do we find the ability to consistently tell ourselves a positive narrative? I don't think it's easy,
right?
Because too often we're used to negativity. If we tap into it, tune into it, and start to move in a more positive way, the outcomes will follow.
Totally. I've always heard that saying, don't listen to yourself, talk to yourself.
Talk to yourself. That's right.
Because
100%.
It's so much easier because you can talk positively, like you're saying, because I'm thinking to myself, I'm 0 for 4. In my head, there's a lot of bad things that are going on. But to be able to combat that, if I could somehow physically start talking to myself and listen to the things that are coming out of my mouth, I feel like it's way more powerful.
So you say combat that. There's a term, a concept called cognitive dissonance. Really what it is saying that I have a fight in my head. We fight all the times with ourselves. Damn, Corey, your fat ass ain't lose that weight, man. You stupid ass, right? Right? I'm 310 right now. If I have a good meal, I'm 315, baby. It's just how it works for me. But I have a continuous battle with what I'm doing with my weight. And I'm telling myself negative stories. You ain't gonna lose it. When you lose it, you're gonna gain it back, all that stuff. So that battle ensues. What we hope to do is have the battle, because it's gonna occur. Win the battle more often than not. You're gonna lose some of them, but more often than not, win the battle in saying, hey, it's all right, Corey. Yep, you ate that. You shouldn't have ate it, but that's gone. Just like that 0 for 4, that's gone. Ain't no point dwelling on it. That's gone. What's the next AB going to be? The next at bat is all I have. I think, Nick, we got to focus more so on staying in the current moment. The 0 for 4 has already occurred. It never to return. Those moments are gone. Those at bats are gone. What do I have in this moment? The only true thing that we have in life is the current moment that we reside in. What's happened is gone. What's going to happen in 10 minutes is yet to be seen. Stay in this moment. If I can stay in this moment, I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out because we're built to do things. You were built to swing the bat and field. You were built for that. That doesn't mean that's the only thing Nick Swisher is built for, because obviously you've got a life and you've built all kinds of things outside of that. But you were built for certain things. Do you trust that what you were built for will unfold in your favor? Do you truly, deeply believe that? If the answer is yes, everything will work, baby. It will. That doesn't mean I won't struggle. Sure. That don't mean I won't have some falters, but I'll get up. If I fall down 7 times, I'm going to get my ass up 8.
Daggone right, moving. Man, for real.
Keep moving. Keep moving. And so last thing I'll say on this point, in life, Nick, we must be rivers, not ponds. A pond is a body of water that can be stagnant, but a river is ever regenerating itself, ever moving and flowing. So life must be like a river. We got to keep moving. It doesn't matter what happened. As long as I keep moving, hey, we're going to figure it out.
I love that, man. Hey, listen, so we're finally getting on the book. Listen, man, Doc, I just got your book. Listen,
Yes,
how
sir.
am I doing? Right, 40 conversations to have with yourself. This thing is absolutely fire, man. Congratulations on this. I know this just came out. Like you said, Kate Cunningham wrote the foreword. It's absolutely electric. Listen, at the beginning, this feels like a therapy session for me almost in a sense, because listen, you right here at the beginning, it says, when we connect through open conversations, it makes us lighter. That's the root of therapy. And even for myself, this is the reason why I tapped into all this mental stuff, because I was one of those guys back in the day that would hold everything in. I would bottle it all up. I wouldn't let any of that stuff go. And then all of a sudden I would reach that boiling point and I would explode. And that's when bad things happen. So to be able to talk about things, they're not easy. Some of these conversations aren't easy in life. Therapy in the overall grand scheme of the world, sometimes conversations are hard to be had, but the more we can get it out in the open and the more we can physically hear those things, they don't seem as daunting of a task.
Let's be clear that if someone comes to me for therapeutic support, I can't change or fix anything in your life. I cannot do that. I can be a person that's curious with you, though, and allow you to talk through some of the things. You have all the answers that you will ever need. Everything you need for success is within you. You have it already. Sometimes we have struggles that we bottle up. As you said, we'll bottle them up because we don't feel like we should share it. It can be perceived as a weakness if I share it. It can impact my next contract. If I say I'm struggling with this and I'm up for contract talks, they can hold it against me. But if you find those people, and it doesn't have to be, let me be clear on this too, it doesn't have to be a licensed therapist. It can be someone that you trust. Because if I can share my story around that struggle, it relieves pressure. That's all I want to do is relieve pressure around the struggle, right? So we also, Nick, have to differentiate between treatment and healing. My job is to be a treatment guy. I'm gonna come in and give you some treatment. If you cut your arm wide open, Nick, you're gonna go to the doctor. They're gonna clean it out. They're gonna put an ointment in. They're gonna sew it up. That's all treatment. But your body will do the healing. So each individual has and possesses the ability to heal himself. We all have that. So sometimes to aid in that process, we need treatment. So the treatment mechanism, support mechanism is what I do. But I can't change you. And I don't seek to change you. You will change if that's what you choose to do, and I'll help facilitate that process.
Yeah, one of the things that I saw in your book, and it was probably on top of the fact that all the chapters of, or the titles of these chapters, these are the things I talk to my daughters about, right? I mean, being a girl dad, the one thing I'm trying to do is to give them confidence and to give them an understanding that you can do things. And the first chapter in this book is titled, "Who is the most important person in your life?" And I asked my daughters this yesterday because I read it and I asked them and they said, "Well, you and mommy." And I said, "Baby girl, I don't think you're hitting the mark. The most important person in your life is you." And all of a sudden I'm reading this chapter and that's what it says. The most important person in your life is you. And I think most people need to understand that. Don't bank on somebody else. Bank on yourself.
Yes, bank on you. Trust that you possess all that you need. And I think that's a tough space many times, that we don't occupy the understanding of, I am the most important. That's not selfish.
Right.
That's just making sure that I understand who I am, how I got to be who I am, charting the course forward is all rooted in my existence. I heard you say a word a couple of times already, and the word that we use that I think we shouldn't is try. No, we don't try to do anything. Either we get it done or we do not get it done. Right? So you're not trying to be a good dad, you're getting it done. That doesn't mean you don't stumble and struggle and not, your daughters ask questions, you say, "God, I don't know the answer to that." We'll figure it out. You know what, then? We'll figure it out together, sweetheart. Yeah. So we're not trying to do anything. We are getting it done. It looks different every day, but we're going to get it done, right? And if we have that mindset, I think we can really knock down any walls that we happen to come across. We have to have that mindset, and we need people in our lives that will help us be supportive of that process. And we can do that. We're surrounded by them. We have to be intentional. Let's be intentional about the engagement and support that we find from others, because we're in need of that.
Yeah, you talk about
Good
that
stuff.
a lot in your book. The word intention and intentionality
Yes.
shows up a lot in your book. And I think a lot of people need to understand this. So let's dive into this a little bit. Let's give people an understanding of what you're talking about with the intention of doing things, right? It's not just talking the talk. It's getting out there and getting the shit done, right? It's out there walking the walk and doing what you need to do to get it done.
You said getting the shit done. And I think too often we leave things to fucking chance. I don't want to leave anything to chance. That doesn't mean there's not going to be moments that things by chance occur. But anything that I really seek to do or get done or understand, I need to go about that in a very intentional fashion. That I want to say, okay, I want to get X, Y, or Z done. What are the steps that I need to do? All right, I'm going to intentionally approach each of those steps. So when you have an at-bat, you have to be intentional about, all right, did I do my study on what this pitcher does on a full count? What is it? What is his tendency? That's intentional. I don't just go up there saying, I don't know who this dude is. I'm just going to swing away and hope for the best. It doesn't work that way, right? You could do that, but your chances of success decrease exponentially. But if you move with intention in aspects of your life, then the chances that positivity occur increase exponentially. And that's all we want in life. We want the opportunity for success to come our way. And if we're prepared and intentional, then that chance increases. And that's really what we should be seeking, is finding that intentionality, moving with intentionality, and telling those around us, hey, I'm going to be intentional. Now, I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm telling you, I'm going to move with intentionality, and we can do that. We possess the opportunity and ability to do that. Will we is the question.
You know, I've been loving hearing what you're saying, because there's so many things that you're talking about that are inside of all of us that maybe we don't know we all have.
That's right.
And to be able to know that we are powerful enough, that's kind of the one things that I preach to my daughters, is that if I can give my daughters strength and confidence, right? Nobody messes with a strong, powerful woman. Nobody. Right? I mean, you were talking about your wife earlier, right? She has been a huge influence on your life as well as mine. She has made me a better man. Your wife has gotten you in that point. Listen, in chapter 4 of your book, right? It's titled, Who is the Author of Your Life Story? I love this about you, because you're not scared to talk about the tough times that happen in your life. And for myself, like, it's kind of a segment, it's called Unstuck. And so at this moment of your life, right, the NFL draft is coming up, right? You did a workout for the Cowboys, for the Rams. You signed a semi-pro contract, right? You're feeling good about your chances in the NFL draft. The draft comes along. You don't get drafted. Tell me, and all of our listeners, some tips, some tricks, how you got through that, because hey, man, I run into this all the time with my young athletes at the professional level. A lot of these kids come out of nowhere, never struggled in their life. And then all of a sudden they get to me with the Yankees in rookie ball, and they're looking around and they're like, everybody's as good as me. What sort of things, just selfishly, can you tell me that I can help my young kids? Because I want to be a better mentor. I want to be a better coach. And there's nobody better than the information that you got.
Yeah, so you use the two words, strength and confidence. And sometimes we can help facilitate that strength and confidence, but your daughters already possess it. They already have it. It's innately within them. So pointing out to people that they already possess so many of these qualities, Nick, I think becomes part of that coaching job, that teaching job in all aspects of what we're up to. But with athletes and anyone that I'm working with, one of my jobs is to be curious with you about those qualities. Where have you been the most strongest in your life? Tell me the story about where you found strength. Tell me the story about where you've been most confident. Think about your whole life. There's moments that you felt the most confident. So then that means we already have it in us. My job is to help you expand and expound upon those abilities, because you already have them.
Right.
So finding ways in which to encourage that building process is really the work that I do. The book is pointing towards, and it's all rooted in being curious and better understanding me. Right? I've got to understand who the hell I am.
No doubt.
Before I can be a good husband, before I can be a good therapist or coach or anything, I've got to first be a good Corey 2, and 4 Corey. I have to do that. And if we can start to better understand that ability, that means I show up in life, in the world, a better version of myself. And if we're all beginning to do that, that makes the world just a better space.
Right.
And we can do that. We don't have to try to change the world, Nick. Let me impact the social networks that I have, that I'm a part of. And if you change and impact your networks, then all of a sudden things look a lot better. And that's really what we're looking for. And that's what we can do.
No doubt. Well, I'm only up to chapter 5 in the book, Doc, but I browsed through this thing, right? And I came back here on page 160, and it totally, absolutely blew my mind because it's chapter 36, right?
Yep.
And it talks about what can you do in 23 seconds, right? Yes. Which is absolutely amazing because 23 seconds is like, and it's over. So hey, tap into that. Give our listeners a little bit of an understanding of what you mean by 23 seconds.
So Nick, what this came from was I was at our practices and our games with the Pistons. And from the moment a player gets fouled and they're going to shoot free throws, there's about 23 seconds from the foul occurring till the time the referee hands the player the ball at the free throw line. So I was asking players, what do you do in that time? And most players were saying, I don't know. I don't do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So it comes back to this term around intentionality. I said, so I wonder if you slowed your heart rate down in those 23 seconds, told yourself and repeated your mantra. I'm a big mantra guy, that we should create little mantras. I was built, you can already tell. I say, I was built for this is a mantra that I use all the time. So if we can repeat our mantra, slow our heart rate down, what do you think the chances that my free throws go in? Are they a little better? And that's all we're looking for, is a 3 to 5% change in the positive. We're not trying to have 100% change, little 3 to 5% change in where I'm at. And so I started working with them around that. And we followed and tracked the couple of guys that I was doing that with, and their free throw percentage went up like 7%, right? Which may not sound big to most.
That's huge. That's a drastic change.
Drastic change to go from shooting 78% at the line to 85%, right? So in 23 seconds, they could drastically change. Life is quite similar. That instead of grabbing my phone when I have an extra 5 minutes somewhere and just sitting on my phone, no, you know what? Let me focus on my breathing. How am I breathing? Doing little things, taking little opportunities that come to us across our day to be more intentional about whatever it is that we want to see get better or increase. So that's where that what can you do in 23-second concept came from. And people have found it to be extremely helpful. That in your everyday life, find those moments that you can do little things that may shift things in your life. It's beautiful, though.
Huge. Yeah. You do little things, that you tack those little things up. That ends up being a humongous pile.
Huge. Yes.
Yeah. Because I think most people think about making drastic changes, and it's such a daunting thing to think about.
It's too much, Nick.
Exactly.
It's too much.
But by the way you're breaking it down, I mean, we're talking about 23 seconds. I mean, like, that's the easiest thing in the world. I've been talking right now for 23 seconds, you know?
Yes.
So having an understanding of that is absolutely fantastic. I mean, 23 seconds from the time a foul occurs to the time he gets on the free throw line, that didn't even cross my mind. I wasn't even thinking. I was like, 23 seconds, what does he mean by that? That is unbelievable. When did that come about? Just at practice that one day?
It was a practice. I was watching a player get fouled. We have refs in, and we were doing 5-on-5. I was watching them, 2 or 3 players. They got fouled, and I watched them from the time the foul occurred till the free throw. And I'm like, I wonder what they're doing. I wonder what he's thinking. So I went to him. Hey, what are you doing in that time?
Yeah.
And they all were saying nothing. Oh, hell, I don't know.
Yeah.
So bringing this concept of intentionality to those small segments of our lives can make a major difference. Just a little change, a little tweak can make a major difference. You know, as a MLB hitter, little things can positively or negatively impact. So again, we're not looking for that big, huge change. That small incremental change can be more everlasting and beneficial.
I mean, speaking of intentionality, right, or living with intention, I always want my listeners to have some sort of a call to action, right? Like, I don't want them just to listen to what we're jamming about, right? I want them to actually physically start putting this into their lives, right? So I guess what is something that we can all take away and effectively put into our lives? I guess what I'm asking is what is one thing that we can all do to better understand ourselves?
Yeah, I think one thing that we can do to better understand ourselves is ask yourself, so what am I really good at? I talk about in the book, what is your genius? I think that we all possess genius. Many times we discount it. We don't think that what we're really good at matters, but it does, and can matter not just for me, but for those around me. So better understanding the things that we're good at, as well as the things we're not.
Sure.
And if I'm not good at something, I'm not a detail-oriented guy. I'm a big picture guy, but my wife is detail-oriented. So what I've done is found someone that is my life partner that really, really kind of segues and supports me in a space that I know I'm not as strong. Nick, relationships are about finding someone that is supportive and helpful for you where you're weak and they're strong, and vice versa, right? So finding the way to fit those puzzle pieces together for the benefit of all is really the critical aspect. And we can do it. We've got to be more thoughtful. And that's what the book is saying. Be more thoughtful. So approaching yourself, getting in the mirror of your life, taking time to be engaged with yourself. We don't do it well. We don't take the time to do it. That's really what the book is talking about. And that's what I hope people can take away from it.
Hey, I can promise you this, Doc. That's something I'm going to take away from this conversation that we've had. What good. You have made, you have made me a better individual for the time that I have sat here and been able to talk to you. Listen, man, I'm not a Detroit Pistons fan, but I am now. I can guarantee you that, right? Because I know that there's somebody like you sitting behind these players that are coming to play each and every day, man. There's a reason why the Detroit Pistons are going to be absolutely amazing. And my man, you are one of those big reasons, man. I can't thank you enough for taking time out to be with us. Listen, man, for everybody out there, man, go get the book, man. How Am I Doing? 40 Conversations to Have with Yourself. Dr. Corey Yeager, man, you are absolutely one of the most badass people I have ever had the privilege to talk to. Continue to keep being amazing, my man. Your energy is infectious, and what you bring to people is absolutely amazing because you don't make it feel like it's a huge task. You make it feel like everybody can do it. And that's the thing that people need to understand, that everybody has power within them. Everybody has those sort of abilities. And I can't thank you enough for bringing that to our attention.
Swisher sweet. I appreciate the opportunity. I'll leave you with an African proverb is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, baby. One bite at a time. Don't try to do it all. Just take a bite at a time. And you'll look around and say, hey, I got it done. So I appreciate the opportunity to sit with you, man. It was fun. This was fun.
Absolutely amazing, man. I got one more last segment. Now, this is something that I play a game with my daughters, and we have a book. It's called Would You Rather, right? And so we usually play it every night, and it's a super fun game. So I got 10 little quick questions for you. So we call it Swish or That, right? This or that, little swish or that. Here we go.
Okay.
Right, question number one. Would you rather fly or be invisible?
Be invisible.
Oh, he wants to get behind the scenes. You want to get in there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. All right. Are you a test the water sort of guy? Dip your toes in, or you just jump right in?
Dive in, baby.
Let's go.
Rip. Dive right in.
Yes, sir. I'm digging it, man. Okay. Are you a drama, action, or comedy movie type of guy?
I'm more of a comedy dude. I want lighthearted, baby. I want to smile and giggle. Yes.
I dig that too. Are you a coffee or a tea guy?
I'm a tea guy.
Oh, a tea guy? Oh, man, I'm a coffee guy, man. Through and through, baby.
Give me tea. Give me tea. Yes.
Okay. Hey, now this is a new one right here, right?
Yeah.
And it's the first time I'm asking this, right? Are you an art museum guy or are you a history museum guy?
History museum all day. I want to learn something about the past that may help me for the future.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. The all famous question, are you a window seat or are you an aisle seat?
I'm a window seat, baby. I want to see what's going on out there. I want to take in the view.
I was going to say, hey, you're a pretty big man. I don't know if you want to be able to get up and move around or not.
I want to look, baby. I want to see.
I love it, man. Do you like to cook or do you like being cooked for?
I like to cook. I'm 3'10", Bubby. Hey, I had to be able to cook, man. I ain't get this big not being able to cook. I got to cook, baby. I'm with it.
Yes, sir. I love it, man. I mean, 4 boys in the house, man. I'm sure that grocery bill is humongous for sure.
It's bigger than my mortgage, baby. Yeah, that's right.
All right. Are we into dogs or cats?
I'm a dog guy all day. I love cats too, but I'm a dog guy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now, I got 2 more questions, right? Are you a sing in the car type of guy, or are you a dancing in the car type of guy?
I'm going to kill it with both. I'm going to sing and dance, baby. Hey, you can't sing if you ain't got a little groove with it, baby.
No
right?
time.
Hey, you got to make it happen, Captain.
Absolutely amazing, man. Now, this is the last question, Doc, and it might be a little deep, but I've asked every guest that we've had so far.
And I'm going to ask you one, too. I'm going to ask you one.
Go ahead. I got one more for you, right?
Go ahead.
It's my deepest question I got to ask today. Would you rather see the future or change the past?
See the future. Yeah, it's optimism, baby. Let's see the future. Let's move with it. Yes.
You talked about positivity, optimism. Man, I'm telling you, I wish I would have had somebody like you in my life from Jump Street.
I love that.
Because you would have gotten me straightened out, man, for real.
Hey, you did pretty good on your own, though, bud. I got one for you. It's in the book.
Hit me.
Would you rather, what best describes you? You love to win or you hate to lose? Ooh. That's love to win or you hate it is.
So I would say I'm more the type of guy I love to win, right? Yes. Because I'm like you. I am an optimist. I am a silver linings type of guy. I try not to focus on the negative things that are happening. I mean, listen, in baseball, you fail 7 out of 10 times. We still go to Cooperstown. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know,
300, baby.
That's it, brother. You know?
Yes, that's right. I'm a love to win guy too. I'm a love to win guy. Yes.
It is. That's such a good way of putting it because it's not about the losing aspect. It's about the winning. It's focusing on that winning, which I think
the exhilaration, the feeling of win, chasing the win is what I do. That's what I feel all the time.
Amazing, man. Man, Doc, this has been absolutely so badass and incredible, man. Yeah. You're giving me, as well as all of our listeners, so much to think about and carry into our lives for a better way of living, man. Positive thinking and positive talk bring positive outcomes. Everybody remember that one more time. Positive thinking, positive talk bring positive outcomes, man. Even if it is just a little bit of a percent.
A little bit. That's it.
Focus on winning the battle with cognitive dissonance and staying in the current moment, right? It is a present. That's why it is a gift. Right. Stay in the present. Be a river. I thought that was amazing. I've heard from people about staying fluid, right? You know, and being able to move like water, right? But and listen, man, I love that pond, man. It stays stagnant. And it can get algae, and it can be, and a lot of bad things can happen. Stay fluid, stay moving. If we all keep moving, because that's when we figure it out, right? When you move on, and you have to move with intention, right? Yes. You got to have intention in your life. Listen, one more time, man. I want to shout out your book one more time. Listeners, grab yourself a copy of Dr. Yeager's new book, How Am I Doing? 40 Conversations to Have with Yourself. Trust me, I'm only 5 chapters in, and it's already changed my life. Doc, you are absolutely a ray of sunshine in this world. Continue to keep being awesome, my man. Thank you so much for all your time today.
Hey, Nick, I appreciate you, dog. Hey, until next time, baby boy.
Wow, what an amazing interview, man. I told y'all that Dr. Yeager would absolutely blow your mind, and I can promise you, you're going to learn a lot from listening to him, man. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Doc. Once again, my favorite segment of this show, people are fucking rad. Let's get right at this. Listen, shout out to the wife for one of the greatest surprises her husband will ever receive. Check it. Let me set the stage for you. They're at dinner, and the staff brings out my guy what he thinks to be as some sort of immaculate dinner dish. But that's not the special part. The special part is what's on the plate. It's not food. As the maitre d' lifts up the dome from the plate, there's no food. Instead, there is a picture of an ultrasound of their first child that they've been trying to make for a minute, man. Wow. If you see the look on this guy's face, it will absolutely light up your day. Listen, to the wife in this video, I've spent about an hour trying to find out your name and had absolutely no luck, but I just want to give you all the love you deserve for everything that you are doing for your family and that amazing surprise that you gave your husband. That's what makes you fucking rad. And I don't know if you heard about the story of the 2 Navy vets that were reunited after being apart for 75 years? My guy, Jack Gutman and Jerry Ackerman had been apart for the last 75 years. After one of the grandpas was shipped off to Okinawa, neither one of them knew if the other one survived World War II. I forgot to tell you, these dudes are 96 years old. It was only until recently that these families were able to reconnect these gentlemen through social media. And when you see the embrace between these two dudes, there will not be a dry eye in the house. I can promise you that. For you two gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for your service to our country. And I also want to give a whole lot of love to social media itself, because if it wasn't for you, these two would not have been able to reconnect. And because of that, social media, you are fucking rad. And I want to shout out to this amazing flight attendant on WestJet. Her name is Laura, who ran into her favorite teacher on National Teachers Day of all days. She has not seen her teacher since 1990. So what did Laura do? She got on the PA of the plane and personally shouted out to her beloved teacher for everything that she has accomplished in her life. And you know what? That got me thinking. Shout out to Mrs. O'Lilla, Worthington Hills Elementary, 3rd grade. You know what you did for me. I know what you did for me. I will never forget you in my life. Absolutely no doubt. And it's because of people like Mrs. O'Connell and Mrs. O'Lilla that we are where we are today. So shout out to Mrs. O'Connell and you, Laura, because you two are both fucking rad. And last but not least, shout out to this 9-year-old little kid. Listen, if anybody knows my dude's name, hit me up on DMs and please let me know. My guy saw an elderly neighbor picking up dirt in her front yard in the scorching 90-degree heat. She was struggling so much that my guy went back to his own house, got his own wheelbarrow and shovel, and spent 3 hours with her until the last piece of dirt was picked up. Shout out to you, little man, because you are an inspiration to all of us. Lending your time and helping others is exactly what this world is all about. And because of your actions today, little man, that makes you freaking rad. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, what an episode today. My man, Dr. Yeager, absolutely amazing. And don't forget to check out his book, right? 40 Conversations to Have with Yourself. I promise it will change your world. Call to action this week, ladies and gentlemen. Bing, bing, bing. Start living your life with more intention, right? Have an understanding of where you actually are in life. Be honest with yourself. Meet yourself in that point, and let's start to make our lives better each and every day. And like my guy, Dr. Yeager said, don't forget what you're capable of accomplishing in only 23 seconds. Man, that was amazing, man. Next week, we have one of my personal favorites, someone who is near and dear to me, someone who has taught me so much about life, routines, and process-driven results. This man saw me at my lowest and lifted me to all-star status, man. I'm not going to tell you who this man is. You'll have to meet me here, same time, same place next week to find out. Thank you guys for being here. And like we always say at the end of the show, spread that love, y'all. We out.